Hi, Nigel here with the Drive Wire. This is the 2022 Chevy Trailblazer. This is an all-wheel drive version. Now, don't be fooled. That name doesn't mean you can do a whole host of off-road shenanigans, but we're going to take it off-road anyway later on, and we're going to see what it will actually do. Now, this one sits between the tiny little tracks and the Equinox, which is its slightly larger brother. Now, the good news is it's very affordable. Prices start around $21,600. This one comes in at $33,000, even including destination. Now, this one does have about $4,000 worth of options, including this huge dual-pane powered panoramic sunroof, a hands-free powered tailgate, which refuses to obey my foot whatsoever. Of course, you can open it like that, but it's more difficult when you've got two bags full of shopping. There's a bunch of other options, but they're inside, and we will go into those a little later. There's definitely a resemblance to the larger Blazer in the front of this car. Lots of black treatment on the grille. It's also got these lights here embedded in these fake vents, and then these very narrow LEDs on both sides. And then at the bottom you can see it's got a couple of spot lamps that are integrated into the bumper. So yeah, definitely a family face. And then the other thing you'll notice is that this one has the black bow tie trim. I think they all should be the black bow tie. I think the gold is dated and old-fashioned, so they should all come out the factory with that black bow tie on both ends. So following on for the slightly off-roady, sporty theme, you get a lot of black plastic cladding, extends all the way back to the rear of the vehicle. Also, these fenders are plastic all around, but you do get these really nice machined alloy wheels. These are 18-inch with these Hankook tires on them, regular all seasons on it. I think the car looks pretty good. So if you step back and look at it from the rear, it looks a little bit with that sloping front to back roof line like a Land Rover Evoque. Tell me I'm wrong. All right, at the back you get an RS badge, stands for Rally Sport. It's not really a rally car and it isn't particularly sporting, but we'll get into that later on. Good news is though, you do get these twin exhaust outlets, and they are real. So good for that. They didn't hide them under the bumper like a lot of manufacturers do and just give you these fake outlets that go nowhere. So good job, Chevy. So the little Trailblazer has 8 inches of ground clearance. That's the same as a Jeep Renegade 4x4. Actually beats a Bronco Sport in base spec, but doesn't beat the Trailhawk version of the Renegade or the Bronco Badlands. All right, so what you get under the hood? Well, you get two different choices depending on the specification of the car that you choose. The smaller one, well, they're actually both small, is a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine. Yeah, it's got 3 cylinders. It's a turbocharged engine. It's got 137 horsepower, 162 foot-pounds of torque. This one, because it's an all-wheel drive version, gets the slightly larger engine. It's 1.3 liters of displacement, still a 3-cylinder unfortunately, and it has 155 horsepower and 174 foot-pounds of torque. And it gets a little bit more complicated with the transmission. If it's a front-wheel drive, you get a CVT. Avoid that at all costs. In this all-wheel drive one, it's a 9-speed conventional automatic. The back is quite a decent amount of space, 25 and a bit cubic feet, a couple of little spaces here to store stuff, and then underneath here you get a space saver and a little bit more room to store additional items if you wish to. Not too bad for such a small little car. Now these two are split fold, as is pretty typical, and they're very easy to get down. Simply grab this lever, pull it down, make sure that seat is out of the way. Put this one down as well, you get around 54 cubic feet of space. It's not bad for a little subcompact crossover. Space in the back is pretty generous too. Seats are decently comfortable. What I did notice was you get a little bit of extra, some storage space underneath the seat. The floor sort of drops down a little bit, which is kind of nice. You get this armrest with a couple of cup holders here, and then you get some 12-volt 3-pin power, which is pretty good, and then 2 USBs. No rear AC or heating in this one. But generally there's a decent amount of room, leg room, and then even though the roof does slope down from the front to the back, for me there's headroom. Anyone over 6 feet though might have a little bit of a problem. And then in the back here there's some nice little storage space here for phones, tablets, etc. It's not bad, pretty good. All right, so once you get inside, it's a fairly nice place to be for a fairly inexpensive vehicle, particularly one that starts at $21,600. Now, obviously, most of the general materials are going to be fairly similar across the range. The plastic on the dash, it's a little hard, but it doesn't feel too bad. There's some nice trim on the door here, and the steering wheel is nice leather wrapped. It's got this sort of cut off at the bottom here, and this sort of hard gloss plastic. It feels pretty good in your hands. Seats are good too. Driver gets powered, typical. Manual, no seat height for the passenger. Bolstering's not bad. They're a little hard, but they're not too bad. But in this sort of like plastic substance, and then this is sort of like a weird material stuff, but it's good for spills and it wipes off pretty easily. So again, not too bad. So as I said, this one comes with a bunch of options, which takes its out-the-door price to $33,000. Got about $4,500 worth of options checked for this particular one, as well as the sunroof that I mentioned earlier, and obviously the powered tailgate. It has the technology package. It's about $1,600, and that includes a high-def rear vision camera. So if we put it into reverse right now, it's actually not bad. It also comes with the 7-speaker Bose premium audio system. It's got wireless charging for devices down here. It's got the Chevrolet Infotainment Plus 8-inch screen, which is pretty easy to use. You got a Wi-Fi hotspot. You can download any updates that come through. Apple CarPlay is pretty easy to set up. Go into settings. You can change various different things based on the vehicle. Collision detection systems, lighting, power door locks, etc. Teen driver to stop your child from going any faster than 25 miles an hour if you so wish. Valet mode to prevent the valet from screaming around and driving a 1.3 three-cylinder vehicle like a crazy person. So lots of good things in here that you can play around with. It's quick, it's intuitive, it's easy to use. Swipe to move to the next stuff. It's got Spotify included, my Chevrolet Sirius XM, and then Marketplace if you fancy a burrito. The other options are, it's got the $520 convenience package that gives you AC single zone climate control. So you've got obviously controls right here. They're pretty easy and intuitive to use. And then 120 volt power outlet down here with one fast, one regular speed USB, and an aux, which is quite nice. You don't often see that. And then further down at the bottom here, traction control off. You've got lane departure, turn on, turn off, and then a little button here which puts you in sport mode. Doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but it puts a little checkered flag on the main screen for the driver. And then you got your all-wheel drive button, which activates all-wheel drive, but it doesn't because it's a part-time system. And it only really works when the front wheels slip and it transfers power to the back. So all in all, it's pretty good. Two decent-sized cup holders, and then there's a little bit of storage space here. And then you can open up the centerpiece here. There's some storage space for a phone or something. You pull that out, and you got some storage space in the middle. It's not too bad. And then directly ahead of the driver, you have the 4.2-inch diagonal multi-color display, which also works pretty well. You notice on the left-hand side, you get RS markings in the speedo. It looks kind of red. It looks kind of cool. Speedo on the right, fuel gauge, etc. Everything that you would need. And then on the steering wheel, there's a scroll button, so you can scroll down and you can see how far you've gone, your average MPG. 21.4, not too bad considering that we've been pretty much thrashing this with an inch of its life. And you can scroll through trip 1, trip 2. You've got 115 miles of range left, how much oil, tire pressures, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's take it for a drive. First thing you notice, a couple things. The steering is really quite light. It's very easy to turn, but it's also decently direct. there doesn't seem to be much play in the steering, so I'm just going to come off this little off-road section that I was on. So the steering's really light, but the suspension is quite hard, which when we take it off-road may not be conducive to a nice smooth ride. It's got a little zip to it. I find that you have to push the accelerator pedal down if you want to get off the line quick, kind of further than you would have expected. So like here we're at a stop, you got to sort of floor it. There's a little bit of turbo lag and then the car picks up, but you're better off letting off a little bit before it gets to 5,000 RPM, so you can sort of take advantage of the torque rather than the lack of horsepower. But once it's on the move, it's not bad. It's pretty zippy. But we'll take it up here on a bit of a two-lane section and we'll see how it works in terms of handling. Now these are assembled in Korea, GM's Korean plant. I'd sort of like to think that they might be a little bit more reliable, but who knows. And I'm going to estimate 0 to 60 is probably around 8.5 to 9 seconds. It's not fast, but it certainly feels quick enough for what it is. I've been riding around with the all-wheel drive button on. Technically, that's not a permanent all-wheel drive system. When we take it off-road, we'll figure out what that does for its grip going up a steep hill. You can either go in front-wheel drive mode if you turn that off, or if you turn it on, you get all-wheel drive mode. It's still in front-wheel drive unless those particular wheels lose grip, and then the rear kicks in. You definitely feel the firmness of the suspension, which is a good thing when carving through these turns, and it holds really well. I mean, sometimes these little crossovers will sort of start to understeer on the limit. This one seems pretty well planted so far. Now the question really is, does it have enough power to push past other traffic on a two-lane highway such as this one? We're currently following a Nissan Rogue being driven at slightly faster than a snail can move, which is irritating because the speed limit happens to be, all right, passing maneuver, here we go. And it wasn't too bad. Turbo spools up pretty fast, gives you the power you're looking for, and onwards. So far, I feel that this handles better than the Taos that I drove a couple of weeks ago. Brakes are good. They bite pretty close to the top of the pedal, but they don't feel harsh in any way. Okay to modulate. But I'm impressed with this thing's outright speed through these turns. It feels pretty good, actually. I'm surprised. So I'm maintaining some pretty high speeds on this road. Obviously not encountering any traffic, except for that Rogue. I'm impressed so far. This little car handles nicely. My expectations were that this would not be much fun on a two-lane highway like this, but it is. All right, so this is my little turnaround point here. For cars that aren't very quick, that is. Obviously anything that's decently fast, I'm going to drive it a lot more. So we'll turn around, we'll go back the way we came, and we'll see when we get to the end how this has affected our fuel economy. This is about as fast as I've driven it since I've had it. And what don't I like about this car? Well, it could definitely use more power. It would be nice if the RS version had a bigger engine. There's a 2.0 turbo in the Equinox. That would be nice. It definitely could handle more power. All in all, it is a nice little car. I'm pretty impressed with it. Now, we are going to test this off-road. I got a couple of little sections where we got some steep little hills. So we're gonna head over there right now and we're gonna see what we can do. All right, so here we are out in the wilds with the Trailblazer, meant for blazing trails, we hope. And it's got all-wheel drive. It's a part-time system, but oh well. And we're gonna see right now if it can get up that hill right there.
Is there like a four-wheel drive mode, something I need to press?
No, I think it's already in four-wheel drive mode.
Weren't you saying there was...
See on the dash it says all-wheel drive?
Okay.
So you're in all-wheel drive,
okay,
and then it decides. So I expect some wheel spin here. Okay. So let's see how well it does. Have you got the diff locks on?
They lock?
No, just kidding. Okay, gonna have to give it some gas now. Okay, I think you're good there. Take it slow, pretty good. This is the test here. Front wheels are spinning. Okay, so it doesn't like that. So what's happening is this wheel is not, the back wheel is slightly off the ground and it's spinning.
What if I let it back up like 2 feet? And what if I pointed a little more left?
Yeah, try that. All right, now turn your wheels and give it more gas this time. If in doubt, power. That was excellent. So it struggled a little bit because just down there, there's just a little bit of loose rock.
That way a little bit and then back up where you are?
Yeah. Stay to the left just a little bit more.
Left?
Slightly to the left.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, hold on. Let me check that big rock at the front. Now you're good. Keep going. You're good. It's probably going to be easy going down because you're not coming up the hill with the front of the car. So, yeah, you're good. Your rear tires.
That's all right.
The rear tire's not on the ground, but whatever.
Don't need it to be.
Yeah, now you're good. All right. So, challenge number 2, we've got it down and we haven't damaged it. Okay, that was easy. All right. So what we'll do now is we'll see how it does up this steep hill right here. And you're good. Oh. Yes. All right, that worked. Well, look at that little Trailblazer go. Almost all the way to the top. That's awesome. He's having to back down because he can't turn around. This hill's too steep. That's a pretty good effort though, that it made it all the way up. That was kind of somewhat impressive.
Yeah.
It did all right, yeah.
I figure if we just keep it rolling, it'll just go.
As long as you give it the beans, yeah. Okay, so what's the verdict? Well, I think this is a pretty competent little SUV, subcompact crossover. I think it does what it needs to do. Most people won't try or attempt any of the off-road stuff that we tried, and it sort of coped. It's definitely got more character and personality than, say, a Honda HR-V, and it's definitely faster than the dangerously slow Toyota CHR. Up against the Jeep Renegade, which has also got quirky, kind of cool, funky looks. It doesn't ride as well. It's about as fast, but it certainly doesn't go off-road as well. So if you're looking for something off-road, maybe this isn't the one to consider. But if you do consider it, go for the front-wheel drive, because you're never going to take it off-road, and go for the 1.3 engine. It's by far the best. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe, like, make a comment. Let me know if you've got one of these. We'll see you next time. Out.